On another issue, the issue of revoking citizenship for dual nationals, is that something that you think Australia should be doing, or what sort of concerns do you have?
I think that idea has to be treated with extraordinary care. The government appears to be just systematically wrong-footing itself with these proposals that come half-hatched and half-baked into the public domain in an attempt to appear tough. There's obviously no consensus within the Prime Minister's own party room, and one of the perverse consequences, I think, is that you're conceivably dumping really dangerous people in other jurisdictions or in neighbouring countries where police, law enforcement and security agencies won't be as able or as prepared to deal with them. There's obviously a very severe security issue at stake here, but simply dumping people off in other jurisdictions is not necessarily the best way to go. But we would like to see a much more measured debate about sensible ways of keeping Australians safe.
Have the Greens thought of any, come up with any alternatives that they could put to the Parliament? Is there any, have they considered special prisons or?
No, look, the alternatives that the Greens have put into the mix mostly are around prevention, rather than the sort of extraordinary overemphasis that we're seeing on surveillance and tracking of people while the Prime Minister takes us into yet another war in the Middle East, is that we need to be looking at de-radicalisation and why people, and increasingly younger people, are being drawn to these hideous ideologies. And there's good advice and there's good policy work being done, including here in Western Australia, on how to prevent kids from being seduced by some of the sick ideologies that have emerged.
Do you think IS is a big threat to Australia?
I don't think it's a threat to Australia. I think it's an extraordinary threat to neighbouring countries in the region. And yes, individuals coming back from that conflict zone, having been exposed to these ideologies with post-traumatic stress, there's no question that they could conceivably present a security risk. But whether Islamic State overall represents an existential threat to Australia, it doesn't. It's a security risk. It needs to be dealt with. We don't want to see some of the tactics that the government is adopting potentially making things worse by polarising and dividing people rather than uniting the Australian community.